In a bizarre twist of fate, Vladimir Putin decided to host a wild boar hunt in the Russian wilderness, inviting none other than Kim Jong Un. Armed with rifles and a questionable sense of humor, both leaders were ready for a day of bonding and, presumably, deadly prowess. As they wandered deeper into the forest, the duo engaged in some light banter, with Kim confidently boasting about his marksmanship. Suddenly, a massive wild boar charged at them, sending both leaders stumbling backward. In a panic, Kim fired his rifle wildly, barely missing Putin, who was now rolling on the ground, laughing like a madman. The boar, confused and enraged, decided to take the fight to Kim, who promptly tripped over a branch, doing an accidental somersault. As he landed, the boar skidded to a halt, seemingly amused by the spectacle. The awkward moment led to the two leaders bursting into laughter, and Kim jokingly proposed that they rename the event Hunt or Be Hunted. In the end, with no boars captured, but a plethora of embarrassing moments, Putin declared it the best hunt ever, proving that sometimes laughter is the real trophy. Their wild adventure became the highlight of the summer, and the footage, pure gold. Kim Jong Un is known for his extravagant lifestyle, but one dinner party stood out for its sheer absurdity. It was supposed to be an elegant banquet with the finest delicacies North Korea could offer. Instead, it turned into a culinary disaster. The chefs prepared a massive platter of exotic seafood, including some of the rarest fish. Kim, being the whimsical dictator he is, decided to play a game. Whoever could eat the most would win a luxury yacht. The ensuing chaos was something out of a dark comedy. Guests were gagging, crying, and laughing as they tried to shovel the slippery fish into their mouths. One poor soul choked and fell off his chair, causing Kim to erupt with laughter, exclaiming, "You can't leave before dessert." But dessert was no ordinary cake. It was a tower of crabs stacked like a wedding cake. The whole affair ended with Kim yelling, "Next time, bring me a bigger yacht," as he tossed a crab at a hapless aide. On the flip side, there's Putin, who once hosted a dinner for foreign leaders featuring bear meat. Yes, bear meat. As the guests sat down, he casually mentioned how he's the one who shot the bear himself. The guests stared in disbelief as he carved into the meat. One brave soul asked, "Isn't that illegal?" Putin smirked, "In my country, everything is negotiable, especially laws." That night, diplomacy was served with a side of bear and a generous dollop of intimidation. Who knew that a dinner could be so terrifyingly hilarious? Kim Jong Un has taken fitness to a whole new level of absurdity. While most leaders hit the gym to stay in shape, Kim's routine includes a diet that screams excess rather than health. Rumor has it, he once ordered a shipment of Swiss cheese to his palace, claiming it was essential for his intellectual prowess. Picture a dictator munching on cheese while plotting world domination, right? But it gets crazier. During a summit, he challenged world leaders to a push-up contest, saying it would prove his strength. Imagine Vladimir Putin, all muscular and shirtless, sweating it out against Kim, who's sweating just as much from the thought of skipping dessert. And let's not forget his obsession with getting fit through bizarre means. He allegedly hired a team of trainers who took extreme workout to a new low. One session included lifting full bottles of his favorite whiskey. That's right, folks, nothing screams fitness like booze. In North Korea, he's even introduced mandatory fitness breaks in schools, which mainly involves students running away from government officials. Talk about a workout. Kim's fitness routine is a wild ride of cheese, booze, and ridiculous challenges that keeps everyone shaking their heads in disbelief. In a twist that could only happen in the realm of absurdity, Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump met in Singapore for their historic summit. Picture a room where the tension was thicker than the air in Pyongyang. Kim, with his trademark haircut and a grin that could melt steel, strutted in like he owned the place. Trump, all swagger and bravado, greeted him with a handshake that seemed more like a wrestling move than a diplomatic gesture. As they settled down, Kim whipped out a gift, a cheesy portrait of himself. Trump stared blankly, half expecting a gold toilet. Next, the conversation turned to nuclear arsenals. "I've got bigger missiles," Trump blurted, eyes sparkling with competitive zeal. Kim retorted with a mischievous grin, "At least mine don't come with a side of Twitter drama." Just when you thought the bizarre couldn't escalate, they dove into a discussion about fast food. Kim, with his love for burgers, challenged Trump to a McDonald's showdown. The world watched, half laughing, half cringing, as two of the most powerful leaders turned a diplomatic engagement into a fast food fest. In the end, their meeting wasn't just about politics. It was a bizarre dance of ego and absurdity that left us all questioning reality. Picture this: Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump, two titans of ridiculousness, sitting down for dinner. The menu? Sushi and caviar, a classy choice for such notorious figures. As they clinked their glasses of sake, the atmosphere was tense, as if a nuclear launch code was hidden under the tablecloth. Trump, ever the showman, started bragging about his caviar collection, boasting that it was tremendously huge. Kim, in his usual fashion, smirked and replied, "In North Korea, we have caviar that could outshine your bald head." The laughter was electric, but then things took a turn. Suddenly, Kim pulled out a sushi roll wrapped in seaweed, which he insisted was made from special fish that only swam in North Korean waters. Trump, not wanting to be outdone, declared he had the best sushi chefs, probably better than any in Japan. As they dove into the meal, Kim dared Trump to eat the mysterious sushi roll, claiming it would grant him superpowers. Trump, with a classic grin, choked down the roll, only to realize he had just eaten fermented eel. He turned green while Kim cackled, saying, "Welcome to diplomacy, my friend." Amidst the absurdity, they forged an unexpected bond over a sushi dinner that was anything but ordinary. Picture this: Kim Jong Un, the chubby dictator with a penchant for power, somehow manages to sneak away from North Korea and lands in Germany during Oktoberfest. With a taste for bratwursts and a thirst for beer, he announces his secret Kim Jong Un Beer Festival at a local brewery. Chaos erupts as he struts in, flanked by a couple of confused bodyguards and a truckload of kimchi. The locals, initially shocked, soon join the madness as Kim grabs a stein, guzzling down lager like it's the elixir of life. Imagine the sight: a dictator stumbling through a sea of drunken Germans, shouting, more bratwursts, less sanctions. Each bite gets more ludicrous as he tries to out-eat a local competitive eater. But here's the kicker: he challenges the crowd to a drinking contest, declaring, "If I win, you will all embrace my glorious regime." The twist: he passes out after 2 pints, snoring like a baby, while the crowd roars with laughter. Eventually, the local police have to carry him out, beer-soaked and snoring. The festival ends with a toast to freedom and a bizarre story that will be recounted over countless beers for years to come. In the surreal world of Kim Jong-un, even his pets come with a side of madness. Picture this: the North Korean leader, perched on his throne like a cartoon villain, casually announces his latest obsession: piranhas. Yes, the toothy fish that could make your average goldfish look like a fluffy kitten. Rumor has it, he keeps a tank filled with these ferocious fish in his palace. But why? It's not just for aesthetic purposes. It's all a part of his twisted charm offensive. Kim, known for his flair for the dramatic, reportedly uses the piranhas as a not-so-subtle threat to his adversaries. "Cross me and you'll swim with the fishes," he might say with a sinister grin. Imagine the bewildered faces of his aides as they try to decipher whether he's joking or serious. The sheer absurdity of a world leader using deadly fish as a psychological weapon is a punchline waiting to happen. But it doesn't end there. In a bizarre twist, Kim once hosted an extravagant banquet where he served fish dishes, claiming they were from his personal collection. You can't make this stuff up. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet of lunacy served with a side of danger. In the bizarre world of Kim Jong-un, one of the most outrageous incidents revolves around his insatiable craving for cheese. Legend has it that Kim, in a fit of cheesy rage, once commandeered an entire shipment of gourmet cheese destined for a prestigious international event. Imagine the panic among North Korean officials when Kim, sporting his trademark smirk, declared that he needed the cheese for a national project. A project that turned out to be a personal binge fest. This wasn't just any cheese. We're talking about the finest brie, cheddar, and even some blue that could knock your socks off. And what did he do next? He invited top officials for a cheese tasting, only to find them sweating bullets, terrified of offending their dear leader. The twist? As they munched nervously, Kim revealed he had never tasted cheese before that day. He proceeded to devour an absurd amount, proclaiming it the food of the gods. The officials, meanwhile, were left wondering whether they should laugh or cry. In the end, they learned that in Kim's world, cheese is not just a snack, it's a weapon of mass indulgence. One sunny day, Kim Jong Un decided he was bored of the usual dictator activities. He ordered his aides to procure a unicorn. Yes, a unicorn. In his mind, it was going to be a glorious photo op. Picture it, Kim on a sparkly unicorn, looking like the magical ruler of the world. But here's the kicker. When the unicorn arrived, it was not the majestic beast he envisioned. Instead, it was a rather scruffy-looking pony with a party store horn taped to its head. Kim, undeterred and full of bravado, climbed aboard, ready to show off. As he yelled, "I am the supreme leader of unicorns!" The pony took off at a trot. Kim, who was clearly unprepared, bounced around like a rag doll, trying to maintain his dignity. His aides couldn't contain their laughter, which only made him angrier. The pony, sensing Kim's frustration, decided it was time for a spontaneous roll in the grass, flinging Kim into a bush. Covered in leaves and twigs, he bellowed, "This isn't over!" But it was. His unicorn dreams lay buried under a pile of shrubbery. That day, the supreme leader learned that not all magical creatures come with a warning label. During a state visit to Paris, Kim Jong Un, known for his iron fist, was determined to indulge in the finest French cuisine. He strode into a Michelin-starred restaurant, boldly demanding the chef prepare an extravagant feast. Little did he know, his obsession with French food was about to spiral into a bizarre comedy of errors. As the chef whipped up escargot and coq au vin, Kim's entourage grew restless, mistaking the slow-paced meal for a slight. With every passing minute, their nervousness intensified, fearing an international incident over a poorly timed dinner. Meanwhile, Kim, oblivious to the tension, was busy snapping selfies with the food, declaring it his new love. The climax came when a waiter accidentally spilled a glass of Bordeaux on a priceless work of art. Kim, enraged, stood up, exclaiming, "This is worse than the sanctions." The restaurant fell silent. Moments later, the North Korean leader, fueled by wine and laughter, started a toast to artistic accidents, while the chef frantically cleaned up. In a twist of fate, this bizarre dining experience turned into a viral sensation, leaving the world chuckling and questioning what truly went on behind closed doors in Paris that night. Once upon a time in the hermit kingdom of North Korea, Kim Jong Un decided to host a secret lobster feast that would make any food lover's dreams come true. Gathering the finest lobsters from the sea, he ordered his chefs to prepare a spread fit for a king, or perhaps a glutton. As the steamed crustaceans piled high, Kim, sporting his signature smirk, declared, "I am the lobster king." His loyal subjects, too terrified to refuse, watched as he devoured lobster after lobster, cracking shells with the fury of a man who hadn't seen a decent meal in years. The absurd spectacle caught the attention of the world, with reports of his feast leaking out, causing both laughter and disbelief. Kim's lust for food was so outrageous that it became a running joke among his advisors, who joked about hiding their lunches. Amidst the laughter, some speculated on the future of diplomacy with a man who treats his appetite as a national priority. After all, what's more important than keeping the Lobster King happy? This hilarious moment exemplifies the bizarre yet intriguing life of Kim Jong Un, reminding us that even dictators have their indulgences, and sometimes they come in shells. Gluttony or greed, it's all part of the twisted charm of this unique leader.
In a bizarre twist of fate, Kim Jong Un developed an obsession with cheese that would make anyone raise an eyebrow. Legend has it that during a lavish banquet, he got a whiff of some imported Swiss cheese and had a meltdown. Kim, known for his eccentricities, immediately ordered his chefs to serve nothing but cheese for the next month. Yes, you heard that right. 30 days of cheese. His demands turned the kitchen into a dairy factory. Gouda, cheddar, brie, you name it, he wanted it. Reports say he once held a meeting to discuss the optimal melting temperature for mozzarella, insisting on a scientific approach to the perfect pizza. Meanwhile, aides struggled to keep up with his bizarre cheese recipes, which included kimchi cheese dip and cheese-stuffed dumplings. But the most memorable moment. Kim attempted to create a national cheese day, complete with parades and cheese-themed songs, only to realize he was the only one who showed up. Surrounded by mountains of cheese and no one to share it with, he reportedly shouted, "What the hell is this? Am I the only cheese lover in this country?" It was both hilarious and a little tragic, showcasing the absurdity of power and obsession.
During a high-stakes nuclear summit, Kim Jong Un found himself craving something unexpected: McDonald's. As talks about missile launches continued, he decided to sneak out for a quick bite. With the military convoy in tow, he made his way to a drive-thru, thinking that no one would notice. The sight of the Supreme Leader munching on a Big Mac while discussing world peace over the phone is a scene straight out of a dark comedy. His security detail looked confused as he shouted, "Make it quick, I don't have all day." As he pulled up to the window, he realized he had forgotten his wallet. In a panic, he offered the startled employee a chance to join him in the nation's capital. They laughed it off, but Kim's face turned serious. This is a matter of national security. After a tense moment, the employee handed him the food for free, probably terrified of what a nuclear-powered tantrum would look like. Kim returned to the summit, fries in hand, casually dropping McDonald's diplomacy into the conversation. It became the highlight of the event, proving that even the most powerful leaders have their guilty pleasures.
Behind the Iron Curtain of politics lies a surprisingly wild side of Kim Jong Un. While the world knows him as the supreme leader of North Korea, few are aware of his outrageous escapades in the realm of romance. Picture this: lavish parties filled with the elite, but instead of political talks, the discussions turn to women. Kim, known for his love of luxury, reportedly has a taste for the dramatic, a penchant for high-profile relationships that leave the rest of us shaking our heads. Rumor has it he has a secret harem nestled in the mountains of Pyongyang, where he entertains his guests with a mix of fine wine and questionable karaoke. He treats his lovers like royalty, showering them with gifts, all while the world spins tales of tyranny and control. His romantic whims often spill into the public eye, leading to bizarre incidents, like a public display of affection that sent shockwaves through the regime. Kim's life is a chaotic blend of military parades and steamy late-night rendezvous, proving that behind the stern facade, there's a man who knows how to enjoy the finer things, like love, power, and a good laugh at the absurdity of it all. In the bizarre realm of North Korea, Kim Jong Un took sports obsession to a level that not even the most eccentric could fathom. Picture this: a national day dedicated to extreme pogo sticking, where teams from across the country compete to see who can bounce the highest while reciting the glorious achievements of the regime. Sounds ridiculous? It gets even better. Kim personally designed the pogo sticks, each adorned with his face, forcing competitors to bounce while staring into his beaming gaze. But that's just the warm-up act. There's also the annual revolutionary watermelon toss, where participants hurl watermelons carrying portraits of Kim's ancestors into a giant statue of himself. The closer you land, the more honor you bring to the nation. And let's not forget the Supreme Leader Slalom, where contestants navigate a course filled with inflatable obstacles of his favorite foods. All of this is broadcasted live, with Kim cheering in the front row, tossing back beers like he's at a frat party. It's a surreal mix of absurdity and cult worship that leaves the world questioning if this is a parody or just Kim being Kim. Either way, it's a spectacle you can't unsee.
Picture this: Kim Jong Un, the supreme leader of North Korea, throwing lavish banquets that would make a king weep with envy. One time he decided to host a dinner party for his closest advisors. He had a personal chef flown in from Paris because why not? The menu featured delicacies like truffle-infused lobster and caviar served on gold-plated plates, All this while, the rest of the country was rationing food. Guests arrived and Kim was dressed to impress, sporting designer threads that cost more than a typical North Korean citizen makes in a year. As the party got underway, he boasted about his collection of fine wines, claiming to have bottles older than most of his guests. He poured the first glass, only to spill it all over his suit. "Well, this is going to cost me," he chuckled, raising his glass in a toast, proving that even in excess, he had a sense of humor. Meanwhile, the chef was sweating bullets, terrified that Kim might demand a literal taste of his craft. The night ended with a fireworks display, which Kim claimed was just for him. In a country where people often go hungry, this absurd feast was an outrageous reminder of his rule, blending humor with the harsh realities of life in North Korea. One day, a bizarre dinner party was organized, featuring Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Kim Jong Un. The host, a confused diplomat, thought it would be a great idea to bring the three together for a peaceful meal. As the night unfolded, Putin arrived first, sporting a smirk and a bottle of vodka. Trump swaggered in next, loudly announcing he had the best steak in the world, much to Putin's eye roll. Kim followed, carrying a bizarre dish of North Korean delicacies, which looked suspiciously like mystery meat. The tension was palpable, but it quickly shifted to absurdity. Putin poured vodka like it was water, making toasts filled with sarcastic jabs at Trump. Trump, never one to back down, bragged about his golf game, while Kim, trying to fit in, offered to show them his latest missile launch video as a form of entertainment. The food was almost forgotten as insults flew, laughter erupted, and even Kim attempted a dad joke that fell flat. By the end of the night, they were all too tipsy to remember why they hated each other, bonding over bad jokes and questionable food choices, leaving the diplomat wondering if he just witnessed a diplomatic miracle or a chaotic disaster. It was just another day in the life of Joe Biden when he found himself at the center of an unexpected fiasco. The president had a full schedule, but decided to take a quick elevator ride to the press conference. As the doors closed, he leaned back, probably thinking about his next big speech. But suddenly the elevator jerked and came to a halt between floors. Biden, ever the jokester, let out a loud, "Well, this is one way to stop the press." With laughter echoing in the cramped space, he pulled out his phone to call for help. Instead, he ended up inadvertently starting a group chat with his staff, joking about how he was now trapped with his own thoughts. The team outside could hardly contain their laughter as they responded with memes of Biden in various trap scenarios. After what felt like an eternity, the elevator sprang back to life, and he emerged with a grin, exclaiming, "Next time, I'm taking the stairs." The story of Biden's elevator escapade spread like wildfire, becoming an instant classic of political humor, capturing his relatable charm and ability to find laughter in the most bizarre situations. At a bustling campaign rally, Joe Biden took to the stage with his signature charm, eager to connect with voters. Amid the sea of supporters, he spotted a vendor selling his beloved ice cream. In true Biden fashion, he couldn't resist and made a beeline for the stand, grinning like a kid in a candy store. He ordered a big scoop, clearly relishing every second of it. But as he turned to wave to the crowd, disaster struck. The ice cream began to melt faster than his approval ratings in a tough debate. It slipped from the cone, splattering all over his crisp suit. Biden's eyes widened in disbelief, and the crowd erupted in laughter. He wiped his hands on his jacket, faced the audience, and joked, "Well, I guess that's one way to sweeten my campaign." His humor resonated even more than the sticky situation. The moment became legendary as it showcased not just his love for ice cream, but also his ability to roll with the punches. In a world of scripted politics, Biden's ice cream fiasco reminded everyone that even a president can have a messy, delightful moment. It was a campaign memorable not for policies, but for the sheer absurdity of life on the trail.
It was a night like no other. In a dimly lit room filled with smoke and tension, 3 of the world's most notorious leaders gathered around a table for a high-stakes poker game. Vladimir Putin, with a steely gaze, shuffled the cards like a KGB agent handling classified files. Donald Trump, ever the showman, boasted about his tremendous poker skills, while Kim Jong Un, sporting an enigmatic smile, was ready to unleash his strategy. As the chips piled up, The banter escalated. Trump declared, "You guys play like a bunch of amateurs." Putin shot back, "At least I don't have to build a wall around my strategy." Kim, unfazed, dropped his cards and declared, "Nuclear option." The game took a wild turn when Putin revealed a hidden ace. The other two stared in disbelief. As the stakes rose, so did the insults. "You're bluffing," shouted Trump, to which Kim responded, "Just like your approval ratings." The night culminated in chaos, laughter, and a spilled drink that nearly sparked a diplomatic incident. As they walked away, each leader had a new respect for poker and for each other's unpredictability. Who knew diplomacy could be so damn entertaining?
In a bizarre twist of fate, world leaders Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Kim Jong Un found themselves in a karaoke bar in Moscow after a particularly tense summit. Instead of a nuclear standoff, the trio decided to settle their differences through music. Putin took the mic first, belting out, "I will survive," with such conviction that the audience momentarily forgot the man is often seen as a political powerhouse. Trump, not one to be outdone, jumped in with a dramatic rendition of "My Way," complete with his signature hand gestures, declaring that he did it all his way, whatever that meant. Kim, undeterred by the competition, pulled out his best Elvis impersonation, singing Jailhouse Rock, while simultaneously planning an escape from any boring political discussions. The bar erupted with laughter and cheers as the three leaders showcased their questionable singing skills. The night ended with an impromptu group performance of "We Are the World," a fitting tribute to their chaotic camaraderie. Who knew that the fate of global peace could hinge on a karaoke night? In the end, they left the stage with smiles, proving that even the most serious leaders can find common ground in unexpected places.
Picture this. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet at a lavish summit. The room is tense, filled with advisors and cameras. Suddenly, Trump leans over and whispers, "You know, Vlad, I've always thought you could moonlight as a comedian." Putin, unfazed, smirks back, "And you could be my best audience." The tension breaks, laughter erupts, and photographers scramble to capture the moment. But then, things take a turn. Trump decides to test out his negotiating skills. He pulls out a taco from his jacket, claiming it's the world's best. "Let's trade tacos for nuclear secrets," he jokes. Putin raises an eyebrow, intrigued by the ridiculousness, but ready to play along. "Only if yours is made in America," he retorts. The absurdity escalates when Trump stands up, challenges Putin to a taco-eating contest right there on the diplomatic stage. Advisors gasp, and a few even chuckle nervously. Putin, ever the strategist, accepts, insisting he can eat more. The cameras roll and history is made, not in policy, but in pure, chaotic, taco-fueled humor. Diplomacy? Who needs it when you have tacos and a sense of humor? Donald Trump's Twitter account has been a treasure trove of wildness, unleashing a torrent of outrageous tweets that could make even the most seasoned stand-up comedians blush. Remember that infamous tweet about North Korea? He referred to Kim Jong Un as Little Rocket Man. Not your typical diplomatic flair, but it had the internet howling. Or how about the time he declared that windmills cause cancer? That one left everyone scratching their heads and reaching for their phones to share the absurdity. Then there's the relentless Twitter feud with CNN, where he dubbed them fake news, the kind of phrase that was chanted like a mantra by his supporters. And let's not forget his tweets about crowd sizes, where he insisted that his inauguration had the largest audience ever, despite clear photographic evidence to the contrary. Each tweet seemed to outdo the last in terms of sheer audacity, often blending humor with a sprinkle of shock. Trump's social media presence twisted the political landscape, turning serious debate into a circus of outrageous proclamations. Whether you loved him or loathed him, his tweets were undeniably unforgettable, keeping the world on its toes and simultaneously entertained. One fateful night, Vladimir Putin decided to kick back and let loose. Tired of the usual high-stakes meetings and state dinners, he craved something different. So he grabbed a few buddies and headed to the wild outskirts of Siberia for a night of adventure. As they drank vodka and shared stories, the group thought, what could be wilder than a little bear encounter? Fueled by liquid courage, Putin shouted, "Let's find a bear!" And just like that, a plan was hatched. Out they went into the dark, freezing wilderness, bellowing like drunken fools. Suddenly, through the trees, a massive bear wandered into their path. Rather than running, Putin, in his typical bravado, decided to woo the beast. He pulled out fish he had stashed, offering it like a bizarre peace treaty. The bear, obviously more interested in the vodka-soaked fish, lumbered closer. At that moment, the guys erupted in laughter, thinking it was the funniest shit ever. But as the bear took a swig of vodka, it stumbled, and chaos ensued. Putin ended up in a mad dash, chased by a tipsy bear. Who knew a night out could turn into a wild chase? Only in Russia. One wild night in Pyongyang, Kim Jong Un decided to swap missiles for bowling balls. In a rare moment of leisure, he invited a select group of generals and a hand-picked crew of bodyguards to join him at the city's swankiest bowling alley. Clad in his signature tracksuit, he strutted up to the lane with the confidence of a man who once executed a general for losing a game of checkers. The stakes were absurdly high. Losers would face a night of special training. As the first ball rolled down, it was clear Kim was no amateur. He struck down all 10 pins in style, celebrating like a kid with a candy bar. Laughter erupted, and the tension of dictatorship melted away for a moment. But then came the fourth frame when one of his bodyguards fumbled his shot, sending the ball straight into the gutter. The room went silent. Kim's smile faded, and he leaned in close, whispering something that made the guard's face pale. He then erupted into laughter, slapping the guard's back, proclaiming, "You just saved me from having to kill you tonight." As the night progressed, it became a chaotic blend of strikes, gutter balls, and Kim's dark humor, proving even dictators can have a hilariously unpredictable night out. In a secret location in the heart of Russia, Vladimir Putin decided to host his very own underdog Olympics, with a twist that only he could concoct. Picture this. Putin, dressed in a tracksuit that screams, "I should have been an athlete," stands proudly at the starting line, while the crowd, consisting of confused officials and a few bewildered bears, cheers him on. The first event is javelin, where instead of a spear, he launches a rather confused babushka who hilariously flails through the air, landing perfectly in a snowbank, giving a whole new meaning to flying under the radar. Next up is the gymnastics routine, where our beloved leader attempts a somersault, but ends up doing an unintentional roll straight into a group of startled pigeons. The crowd erupts with laughter while Putin, ever the good sport, strikes a pose, proudly presenting a feather stuck in his hair. Finally, the closing ceremony features Putin trying to light the Olympic flame with a match that refuses to ignite, leading him to blow on it furiously. The flame, an unlit candle, the crowd, in fits of laughter. Thus concludes a day of Putin's underdog Olympics, where the only thing more surprising than his athleticism is the sheer joy he brings through his blunders.
In a world where diplomacy often involves formal dinners and extravagant banquets, one man decided to take a different route: Donald Trump. Picture this. World leaders seated at a long table, the usual crystalware replaced by greasy burger wrappers and soft drink cups. Trump, proudly sporting his signature red tie, welcomes them with a cheeky grin, declaring, "Nothing says friendship like a Big Mac." As he serves up fast food, the ambiance shifts from serious discussions to awkward laughter. Kim Jong Un, eyeing a double cheeseburger suspiciously, mutters under his breath, while Emmanuel Macron contemplates whether to pair his fries with ketchup or mustard. The tension of global politics melts away, one greasy bite at a time. Trump, meanwhile, relishes the chaos, tossing burgers like political favors. "You want to talk trade? Let's negotiate over a Whopper," he quips. The photo ops are priceless. Leaders with burger-stuffed cheeks and Trump beaming like a proud father. It's a surreal twist where the fate of nations hangs on a single fry. In a way, Trump redefined what it means to break bread, proving that sometimes all it takes to unite the world is a little cholesterol and a lot of whimsy.
One fine day, Kim Jong Un decided that ruling North Korea wasn't enough. He wanted to conquer the culinary world too. Armed with a cookbook titled Gourmet Delights for Dictators, he donned a chef's hat, believing it would inspire fear in the hearts of his enemies. As the camera rolled, he attempted a classic French soufflé, confidently declaring that it would rise like his missile program. The only thing that rose was the tension in the kitchen. When he opened the oven, the soufflé exploded, covering the kitchen in a cloud of egg and disappointment. Not one to be deterred, he grabbed a live lobster, declaring it a symbol of strength. However, the lobster had other plans. It escaped, sending Kim on a wild chase around the kitchen, slipping on the mess he'd made. With every misstep, he shouted, "This is not how a dictator should cook." After failing to catch the rebellious seafood, he decided to improvise with a spicy kimchi stew. Yet, in his haste, he mistook sugar for salt. The result? A sweet, fiery concoction that left everyone gasping. In the end, Kim learned a valuable lesson. Some battles, even in the kitchen, are not meant to be won.
On July 27, 2023, Kim Jong Un decided to celebrate National Puppet Day with grandiosity only he could orchestrate. The morning began with a parade of life-sized puppets depicting world leaders, each designed to mock their personalities. As the crowd gathered, excitement turned to chaos when a malfunction caused one puppet, resembling an overly exaggerated version of President Biden, to launch off the float and tumble into the audience, creating a domino effect of panic. Laughs turned to screams as security rushed to subdue the situation, but in a twisted turn of events, a voice from the crowd shouted, "Release the puppets!" This prompted Kim to order the puppets to be freed in a satirical twist, leading to a bizarre scene where officials donned puppet costumes, performing ridiculous dances to the horror of onlookers. The irony was palpable as Kim, the puppet master, turned into the punchline of his own event. Instead of unity, the day culminated in a chaotic brawl among attendees, all while Kim sat back, chuckling at the absurdity he had created. It was a dark reminder of the thin line between power and folly. In a rare moment of inspiration, Kim Jong Un decided to showcase his culinary skills to impress visiting diplomats. Determined to concoct a traditional North Korean feast, he enlisted his top aides to gather the finest ingredients. The menu was ambitious, a lavish banquet featuring the infamous Pyongyang hot pot. As the kitchen buzzed, chaos unfolded. Kim, in his fervor, mistook salt for sugar, transforming sweet rice cakes into a salt-licking disaster. The first bite sent diplomats reeling, their faces contorted in horror while Kim watched, oblivious. Unfazed, he proudly declared it a new experimental dish. The aides, struggling to maintain composure, discreetly tossed the offending cakes into the trash. But the real catastrophe struck when a sous chef accidentally added explosive amounts of chili to the soup, turning the banquet into a fiery contest of endurance. As guests chugged milk to quell the flames, the room erupted in laughter at the absurdity. Kim, now sweating and red-faced, realized diplomacy was much easier than cooking. That night, the only thing more burning than the chili was his pride, as he vowed to leave the cooking to others and stick to ruling. Or at least he hoped. One day, President Kim Jong Un decided to lighten the mood in the bunker with a little prank. His plan? To make his aides believe he had launched a nuclear missile as a joke. He gathered his closest advisors, grinning like a child with a new toy, and announced a fake launch sequence. The aides, initially laughing, quickly turned pale as the countdown began on the screens. Panic set in when alarms blared, and red lights flashed everywhere. They rushed to confirm the launch, only to discover that a miscalculation in the control systems had triggered an actual missile alert. Amidst the chaos, Kim's laughter echoed off the walls, unaware of the gravity of the situation. With military personnel ready to retaliate, the tension escalated. A secret missile was indeed prepped for launch, but it was meant for an exercise, not an actual attack. The confusion led to frantic calls to de-escalate the alert. Kim, realizing his prank had spiraled into a potential catastrophe, finally stopped laughing. As officials scrambled, the absurdity of the situation became painfully clear. The world's most dangerous joke was no laughing matter, and Kim's prank turned into a historical blunder. In an ironic twist of fate, Kim Jong Un decided to host a lavish BBQ for world leaders, aiming to showcase his hospitality and perhaps soften international relations. Picture this: North Korean soldiers meticulously preparing an extravagant spread, complete with exotic meats and traditional dishes. As the grills sizzled, Kim imagined shaking hands with rivals and cracking jokes over charred steaks. However, things took a turn. The world leaders arrived, greeted not by warmth, but by a heavy cloud of smoke and an awkward atmosphere. The food, unfortunately, had a reputation of being inspired by the culinary delights of North Korea. Think raw mystery meat and an abundance of kimchi that could clear sinuses. As the guests sampled the cuisine, the humor became darker. One leader jokingly asked, "Is this dish named after a dissident?" while another discreetly inquired about the possibility of food poisoning. The evening culminated in an unexpected emergency meeting among the leaders, discussing not trade deals, but how to survive the culinary catastrophe. In the end, Kim's BBQ diplomacy left everyone with one clear takeaway: some invitations are best left unaccepted. In a secret lair deep within North Korea, Kim Jong Un prepared for an unprecedented dinner with world leaders. The table was lavishly set, adorned with platters of exotic dishes and an array of expensive wines, but the atmosphere was tense. As the guests arrived, awkward small talk ensued. Kim, in an effort to break the ice, boasted about his latest missile tests, claiming they were, just like his cooking, explosive and well-timed. The laughter was forced. One leader, nervously nibbling on a piece of sushi, whispered to another, "I thought this was supposed to be a peace dinner." Kim, overhearing, grinned broadly and said, "Oh, it will be peaceful, until dessert." The main course was a bizarre fusion of traditional Korean and Western dishes, like kimchi burgers, which left guests puzzled. As the dinner progressed, Kim proposed a toast, but instead of goodwill, he raised his glass and declared, "To our mutual destruction." The room erupted in uncomfortable laughter. The evening ended with a karaoke session where Kim belted out a haunting rendition of "My Way," while the leaders shuffled awkwardly, unsure if they should join in or flee. It was a night to remember, or rather to forget. Once upon a time in North Korea, Kim Jong Un decided he needed the perfect pet. Tired of the usual dogs and cats, he wanted something unique. His officials proposed exotic animals like tigers and monkeys, but Kim envisioned a companion who could understand his greatness. One day, he stumbled upon an article about giant African snails. Inspired by their slow and deliberate movement, he thought, "These snails will reflect my patience and power." Soon, he amassed a collection of these mollusks, each named after a dictator from history. The snails became the talk of the palace, and their slow pace echoed the state's bureaucratic processes. However, Kim grew impatient, demanding they move faster. He ordered a national program to feed them gourmet lettuce, causing a nationwide lettuce shortage. As the snails thrived, so did Kim's obsession. He summoned them for photo ops, claiming they were his loving army. But when the snails began to multiply uncontrollably, chaos ensued, leading to a bizarre snails-in-the-street crisis. In a fit of frustration, Kim declared war on the snails, sending his elite guards to eradicate them. Thus, the quest for the perfect pet turned into a national embarrassment, showcasing the absurdity of power. Kamala Harris stepping into the presidency could be troubling for America, given the current trajectory under Joe Biden's leadership. Biden's administration has faced criticism for poor handling of inflation, border security, and foreign policy, notably in Afghanistan. These errors expose a pattern that Harris might follow. Her history suggests a preference for progressive policies that could exacerbate economic woes and deepen societal divides. If Harris continues Biden's path, Americans may face increased taxes, regulatory burdens, and a weakened international stability. Her approach to issuing pollutants raises alarms, as embracing defunding initiatives could jeopardize public safety. Furthermore, her divisive rhetoric risks alienating moderates, thus hindering bipartisan cooperation. The world watches closely. Instability in foreign relations could escalate if Harris mirrors Biden's diplomatic steps. As we consider this, it's vital to reflect on leadership choices. If Harris ascends, America might not only face domestic challenges, but also a diminished role on the global stage. Picture the irony. While Trump laughs at potential, stakes for the nation could not be higher. In a world where Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin unite as leaders, a groundbreaking friendship emerges. Together, they smile, presenting a powerful image of cooperation. Their dynamic partnership fosters diplomacy, steering nations towards collaborative efforts. As they champion trade agreements, economies flourish, creating jobs and opportunities. Their combined influence inspires global initiatives addressing climate change and poverty relief, ensuring sustainability for future generations. This alliance promotes cultural exchanges, enhancing understanding among diverse populations. Citizens experience a newfound sense of security as conflicts diminish and dialogue prevails. With both leaders advocating for peaceful resolutions, military tensions dissolve, leading to a historic reduction in global arms expenditure. Happiness becomes a common denominator as communities thrive under the stability created by this friendship. The world witnesses a renaissance of creativity and innovation, driven by the shared vision of prosperity for all. Education flourishes, with investments in youth development fostering a generation geared for collaboration. A deep sense of belonging unifies humanity as people celebrate shared values and aspirations, ushering in an era of unprecedented harmony. In February 2022, with Donald Trump as president, the Russia-Ukraine conflict might have unfolded quite differently. Trump, known for his strong rapport with Vladimir Putin, would have prioritized dialogue and negotiation over military confrontation. Recognizing the importance of stable international relations, Trump would have swiftly initiated discussions with both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. By arranging a summit, Trump could have effectively mediated between the two leaders, encouraging compromise and understanding. Trump's approach would focus on economic collaboration, emphasizing the benefits of partnership over conflict. He might have proposed a deal that offered Russia economic incentives for stabilizing the region, thus reducing tensions. The dialogue would likely address key issues such as energy security and military presence, showcasing Trump's knack for leveraging business acumen in politics. As a result, the prospect of an armed conflict would diminish, and a path toward peaceful coexistence would emerge. By fostering a positive relationship with Russia, Trump's presidency could have turned a potentially explosive situation into an opportunity for diplomacy, benefiting both nations and the international community. The historic meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong Un marked a significant turning point in international relations. This unprecedented summit, held in Singapore, showcased the potential for dialogue and cooperation between two leaders who were once at odds. The atmosphere was charged with optimism as they engaged in discussions aimed at denuclearization and peace on the Korean Peninsula. Trump's approach emphasized the importance of building relationships, demonstrating that open communication could lead to monumental changes in world security. By fostering this partnership, Trump aimed to alleviate tensions, not just in Korea, but globally. The meeting symbolized hope for a future where diplomacy prevails over conflict. Both leaders recognized that collaboration could pave the way for economic growth and stability in the region. As they shook hands and exchanged commitments, the world watched with bated breath, aware that this moment could redefine their country's trajectories. The summit laid the groundwork for further negotiations and trust building, proving that even the most challenging relationships can evolve through dialogue, ultimately strengthening the security of nations worldwide. The legacy of this summit could be a safer, more cooperative global environment. Kamala Harris has often been criticized for her lack of decisive leadership, and her record as California Attorney General raises concerns. Her tenure was marked by policies that many argue negatively impacted marginalized communities. In contrast, Donald Trump's presidency showcased a strong, assertive leadership style, focusing on economic growth and deregulation. Trump implemented tax cuts that spurred economic activity and job creation before the pandemic hit. His administration prioritized America First, strengthening borders and renegotiating trade deals, which benefited American workers. On the other hand, the Biden administration, with Harris as a key player, has faced multiple setbacks, including rising inflation and a chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. These errors have led to widespread dissatisfaction among voters. Harris's vague positions on critical issues, such as immigration and crime, further diminish her appeal as a leader. In contrast, Trump's clear policies resonate with many who feel left behind. His strength in foreign policy, apparent in his dealings with North Korea and China, showcased an ability to navigate complex issues effectively. Ultimately, when evaluating leadership qualities and political performance, Trump's record presents a compelling case for his return to office over Kamala Harris. Donald Trump's victory in the November 2024 election against Kamala Harris could usher in a new era of economic stability and growth for America and the world. His track record shows a keen understanding of capitalism, which is crucial for encouraging business investment and job creation. Ending the ongoing Ukraine war could also be a priority for Trump, and his style of negotiation might lead to a quicker resolution, resulting in decreased global instability and a boost in international markets. This would not only alleviate humanitarian issues, but also foster better trade relations, benefiting the U.S. economy. Trump's unique sense of humor appeals to many Americans, making political discourse more relatable and less divisive. He often engages with people on a personal level, creating a sense of connection that Kamala Harris struggles to achieve. Furthermore, Trump's policies tend to focus on tax cuts and deregulation, which historically stimulate economic growth. In contrast, Harris's approach leans towards increased regulation and higher taxes, potentially stifling innovation. A Trump presidency could mean a return to more favorable economic conditions, marked by job growth and increased consumer confidence, setting a positive tone for the future. Viktor Orban, the Hungarian prime minister, has put forth an innovative approach to ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict, aiming to unite world leaders for a brighter future. His vision emphasizes dialogue over division, envisioning a roundtable where leaders like Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Volodymyr Zelensky can engage positively. This unprecedented collaboration could pave the way for peace and stability in Europe and beyond. Orban believes that fostering communication is essential, as mutual understanding can lead to effective solutions that honor the interests of all parties involved. His perspective is that peace is not just a moral imperative, but also a powerful catalyst for economic growth. By resolving this conflict, countries can redirect resources towards rebuilding and development, enhancing trade opportunities and regional stability. This peace initiative emphasizes that a cooperative approach can yield substantial benefits, not only in terms of security, but also economic prosperity, creating a win-win scenario for all nations involved. Orban's commitment to facilitating this dialogue showcases his dedication to a peaceful world and a prosperous future, encouraging leaders globally to consider collaboration as the key to overcoming challenges. The connection between Donald Trump and BlackRock raises intriguing questions about financial influence in politics. Trump's presidency marked a period of assertive policies that arguably prioritized American interests. Regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflict, many assert that a Trump-led administration could have taken a different approach, focusing on forging alliances with nations like Russia. A strategic partnership with Vladimir Putin might have led to reduced tensions and a more stable Europe. This perspective suggests that if the U.S. lessened its support for Ukraine, it could divert resources to domestic issues, fostering economic growth while maintaining global balance. Critics argue this could embolden aggressors, yet proponents believe it might encourage diplomatic solutions. The Trump-Putin rapport was characterized by mutual respect and pragmatic dialogue. Under Trump, the economy saw significant growth, low unemployment, and energy independence. Many believe this economic strength could have been leveraged to negotiate peace, emphasizing stability over conflict. In this lens, the perceived threat of Russia might transform into a strategic alliance, reshaping geopolitical dynamics and placing American interests at the forefront of international relations. As the November 2024 election approaches, the battle between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is heating up. With a backdrop of intense political fervor, many are predicting a scenario where Trump emerges victorious. His supporters rally passionately, advocating for his return to the White House, calling for change and emphasizing promises of economic revival and national security. The atmosphere is charged, with crowds erupting in cheers at his rallies, igniting a sense of hope among them. On the other hand, Kamala Harris, representing the Democratic Party, fiercely defends her policies and legacy, portraying herself as a beacon of progress and unity. The stakes are high, with each debate and campaign drawing sharp contrasts between the candidates. As the election night unfolds, tension grips the nation. Reports of a tight race spark anxiety, yet as the results roll in, Trump's path to victory becomes increasingly clear. Amid the celebrations of his supporters, Joe Biden makes a heartfelt exit, visibly emotional as he hands over the reins of power. The moment is both somber and significant, as America prepares for a new chapter under Trump's leadership. The future remains uncertain, yet the fervor for change resonates strongly. China stands on the brink of a revolutionary breakthrough in nuclear fusion, signaling a new era in energy production. Recently, Chinese scientists announced significant advancements in achieving stable and efficient nuclear fusion reactions. This development positions China as a leader in this transformative technology, which has long been the holy grail of sustainable energy. Notably, the Chinese government is committed to harnessing this power for electricity generation by 2030. The implications of this are staggering. Nuclear fusion could provide a nearly limitless source of energy with minimal environmental impact. This process, which mimics the sun's energy production, has the potential to drastically reduce reliance on fossil fuels and lower greenhouse gas emissions. President Xi Jinping has emphasized the importance of this initiative, showcasing it as a crucial component of China's energy strategy. As the world confronts pressing environmental challenges, China's pursuit of nuclear fusion offers a beacon of hope. With continuous investment and innovation in fusion technology, we may soon witness a sustainable energy revolution that transforms how the world produces and consumes energy, significantly impacting global energy dynamics. On March 15, 2023, in the opulent halls of the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin faced an unexpected betrayal. Surrounded by trusted advisors, he had just signed a controversial decree, sealing his fate. As the night deepened, one of those advisors, driven by greed and ambition, laced Putin's drink with a potent toxin. Oblivious to the impending doom, Putin raised the glass, toasting to his victories. Moments later, the venom coursed through his veins, igniting a violent reaction within his body. His hands trembled and he gasped for breath, collapsing onto the lavish floor. The echoes of his last moments were drowned out by the chilling realization of betrayal. As the guards rushed in, it was too late. The advisor, now a figure of infamy, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a scene of chaos. The Kremlin, once a symbol of power, was transformed into a theater of death. This brutal incident serves as a stark reminder of the deadly consequences of ambition and betrayal, even among those at the pinnacle of power. What do you think about this shocking demise? Have you heard of any experiences like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. On a frigid winter day in Moscow, February 14, 2022, a shocking incident unfolded that would leave the city in disbelief. Vladimir Putin, the enigmatic leader, found himself ensnared in a deadly twist of fate. While inspecting a state-of-the-art ice sculpture exhibition in Gorky Park, he witnessed a scene that would lead to calamity. As he leaned closer to admire a massive ice bear, the structure began to crack ominously. In a split second, a massive chunk of ice shattered from above, plummeting directly toward him. The crowd gasped in horror as the icy mass descended. With a sickening thud, it struck Putin, the force of the impact sending him sprawling into the frigid snow below. Chaos erupted as aides rushed to his side, but the damage was done. The spectacle turned from a cultural event to a gruesome scene of fate's merciless hand. Witnesses recalled the moment as surreal, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of life. What are the odds? Such a powerful figure, felled by nature's cold embrace. Share your thoughts on this incident in the comments. Have you heard of any similar experiences? In a chilling twist of fate, Vladimir Putin found himself caught in the crossfire of an unexpected calamity at the historic Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia, on March 15, 2023. Amid a public event celebrating Russian heritage, chaos erupted when a mysterious explosion rocked the premises. Witnesses described a deafening blast as the ornate chandeliers shattered, sending glass raining down upon the crowd. In the ensuing panic, Putin was seen rushing towards an exit, but fate had other plans. As he navigated through the debris, a massive section of the ceiling collapsed, crushing him under the weight of history itself. The scene was chaotic, with frantic screams echoing through the palace halls. Medics rushed to the scene, but in a brutal twist, the once formidable leader could not be saved. His demise sent shockwaves through the nation, igniting debates about safety and political vulnerability. The incident stands as a stark reminder of how quickly power can crumble in the face of destiny. Have you ever witnessed a violent twist of fate? Share your thoughts on this incident in the comments below, and tell us if you've heard of any similar experiences. During Donald Trump's presidency, a notable and unique friendship emerged with Vladimir Putin. This bond, characterized by camaraderie and respect, significantly influenced global dynamics. The two leaders often found common ground, fostering a sense of cooperation that reverberated across international trade and diplomacy. Their meetings, marked by smiles and mutual understanding, sent a powerful message of unity. As a result, both the United States and Russia saw a surge in collaborative initiatives, particularly in energy sectors, technology exchanges, and military dialogues. This partnership created a foundation for economic growth, leading to increased investments and trade opportunities. Businesses in both nations experienced a revival, benefiting from the stability that this friendship provided. The global economy responded positively, with stock markets witnessing an upswing and trade agreements flourishing. The spirit of collaboration under Trump and Putin's leadership sparked innovations and opened doors that enhanced bilateral ties. In this era, the relationship became a testament to how strong leadership and friendship can transcend borders, creating a ripple effect of prosperity and growth that benefited nations worldwide. Imagine a world where President Kim Jong Un's visionary leadership governs America, fostering unity, peace, and prosperity on a global scale. His approach emphasizes a strong centralized government that prioritizes the needs of the people, ensuring that every American has access to quality education, healthcare, and sustainable employment. By embracing technology and innovation, Kim would spearhead initiatives that drive economic growth while protecting the environment, positioning America as a leader in the Green Revolution. With a focus on diplomacy, he would cultivate relationships with other nations, transforming adversaries into allies and promoting collaborative efforts to address global challenges such as climate change and poverty. His commitment to cultural exchange would enrich American society, celebrating diversity while fostering a sense of belonging among all citizens. In this new era under Kim's leadership, the world would witness a shift towards cooperative global governance, prioritizing dialogue over conflict, and working together to build a brighter future. This vision of leadership is not just about America. It's about creating a harmonious world where nations collaborate for the common good, ensuring peace and prosperity for generations to come. As I envision my leadership in America, I see a nation thriving on unity, strength, and shared prosperity. My approach would focus on fostering relationships, both domestically and internationally, to create an inclusive society. The core of my vision includes investing in education, healthcare, and sustainable infrastructure, ensuring every citizen has access to the resources they need to thrive. By prioritizing the welfare of the people, America could become a beacon of hope and stability in the world. Furthermore, I would advocate for international cooperation, promoting peace rather than conflict. Establishing trade agreements that benefit all parties would lead to a thriving economy, reducing wealth inequality. Emphasizing cultural exchange would help build mutual respect and understanding among nations, uniting us in our shared humanity. Through diplomacy, we can tackle global challenges like climate change, terrorism, and poverty, fostering a spirit of collaboration. In this vision, America would lead by example, showing that empathy and cooperation can triumph over division. A harmonious world, rooted in respect and prosperity, would be our legacy. Together, we can create a future where every nation flourishes and peace prevails.